there's been something magical and special about this week. And I really, really believe it's because I've been able to talk about your poems and about you, the poets, and you've been part of our community this week. And it's been something really special. I've shown your pictures every day. As I've shown your poems, I introduced Betsy, the writing camper, Amy, and you can see behind me, I've been sharing your books too. And it's just, aside from your poems, it's your presence has been with us, and I know that it's been something really special.
That's
So
great.
I first want to thank you for being so generous to allow us to really, I don't know, bask in your brilliance and allow us the chance to continue to connect together every day using your words and your hearts. So I first wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I've shared a little bit with the people on the page about you, but I've never really shared, I've shared tidbits. So I haven't really shared just a kind of like an intro of both of you, which I have to be honest, has been challenging for me to kind of put in a summary, because your achievements, number one, in education and your inroads that you've made with your poetry into the lives of students and your impact of your writing and your writing teaching, both of you, is just vast and incredibly hard to be able to name it all. It's just, there's so much that you've done, and I'm again so grateful for it. So I'm going to try.
I think I'm just going to put you in my pocket.
I'll
Patty
take
could be
it.
the poem in your pocket.
I will take it. Oh my gosh. And so maybe I can just share a couple of the things that I found and I just kind of put together loosely, and anything you want to add to it too, I'd love to hear more. So just to start with Amy, and knowing you personally for these years, just seeing the different sides of what you bring to the classroom. And also just on a personal note, you working with my daughter 2 years as a in residence. Yes. And realizing that she had the opportunity to learn from you, like aside from just being that brilliant and prolific poet and children's author and writing teacher and like a teacher of teachers, we learn from you. You also, while you have this connection with all of us, you also have this beautiful connection with nature, and that comes through in all that you do. It makes me want to be better because of it, and I'm so grateful for that. And you have your poems that you are writing online every day from Betsy the Writing Camper, where you're rolling word dice and using them to inspire some poetry. So thank you for that. Is a chance to connect distantly, but feel connected anyway. And Rebecca, the reason I started with Amy is because Amy has grown up under your sunshine, has just been part of, she's become who she is because of your mentorship. And that was one of the first things she said to me when
thank you.
Yes. And that was immediately her response when I said that I was going to ask you, or Wendy was going to ask you to be a part of our time this week. So, and I've also learned, aside from like the countless books that you've written or been a part of, and the poetry that you've shared, we have all been touched by your work in some way. And I think about the longevity and the legacy that you have created in the heart of children and teachers and language lovers. And it's just incredibly, I'm trying to find the right words here. It's like, it's simply a gift, and it's a gift given over time. And I know that you also had a big influence in the imprint word song and getting that off the ground, being the only poetry imprint that's out there. So I know that you're not only there to create and share, but you're also there to support others as they are growing.
Yes. And I want to say I certainly didn't have anything to do with starting it. That was, Boyd's Mills and B. Cullen. but I was one of the first poetry manuscripts that they, you know, took. And I had a good, sweet, close relationship with Bernice Cullinan, who started Word Song, who was and the editor of Word Song. Yeah. So, but thank you for all.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for clarifying that, because it's also, you know, I don't want to disregard what they did with that, because that is important. And you've also been recognized for really making that a special place. So we appreciate that. And we also learned about you that you love stale peeps.
I do.
Yes.
They have to be
and you
they have to be chewy, old and chewy.
And polka dots. And your first book was Sweet Dreams of the Wild.
Yes.
So you both have that nature connection, and so I hope I've shared at least a little something that gives a glimpse to others into what you've done for all of us. So,
okay. Yeah. Nice.
With that said, I'm wondering if each of you would share a poem. And when you share that poem, can you give us the inside scoop on the poem, kind of like either what you were thinking about, or I don't know, just some behind the scenes when it comes to the poem?
Sure.
You go first, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Will this be one that you have already mentioned, right?
Sure.
Okay. So stars?
Sure.
Right? Okay. So this is from Lemonade Sun. The poem is Stars.
Yes.
And I will read this. Yeah.
Thank
I will
you.
read. Okay. 108, 109. I'm counting the stars, one at a time, like splinters of diamonds, like slivers of pearls, like sequins of light. They sparkle the world. That poem came from a memory of my childhood. A big thing to us was counting the stars. We would lay out in the backyard and on our backs at night and look up, and we would tell stories, and we would count all the stars, and we would point to them and maybe pretend like, you know, what's happening on that star and what's happening on that star. And and we'd have this thing going back and forth, my friends and I, do you think we can count them all? No way. Yes, we can. Let's try. 100, 102, So that was just something that as a child, I remember. And I love specific things like that, like something in your childhood, but something very specific, not just playing outside, but, stars, counting the stars, laying on your back, So that's where that poem came from.
Thank you.
And I love that book.
Oh, me too. Oh my goodness, me
Thank
too.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was my second book with Word Song.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the copyright date on that book, Rebecca?
1998, I believe.
And what about Sweet Dreams of the Wild?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Maybe
you don't really. I thought they were about
maybe
that time because I was teaching then, and I had those books and Lee's Been to Yesterday's in my classroom.
Oh,
and that's how I first met you both, even though I didn't know you both.
Right. Well, it is 1998, and so Sweet Dreams must have been 96.
Yeah, and I was teaching then, so I just love knowing this. And
then we met in person the first time in 2001.
Yeah, a little while later.
At the
workshop that you taught at Highlights at Word Song.
Right. Yep. That was it.
That was such a great workshop.
It was. Yeah. It was one of the best. It was great. Yeah.
Wow.
So, well, Patty, I picked a different poem. I hope that's okay.
Absolutely.
A different one than you had read during the week, because I realized that it's National Library Week. And so every once in a while, I'll write a poem about libraries. And this one is called So Rich. I walk along the shoreline, holding pebbles to the light. Everyone is beautiful. Everyone is right. I stuff my bulging pockets with small treasures from the rolling sea. Two places make me feel so rich, the ocean and the library. And that is, I wrote because I walk when I walk along any kind of beach, I'm the one who's going to bump into you because I'm picking up every single thing. And it makes me think about that Valerie Worth poem, how you bring home all those rocks and shells and you think, oh, they were so beautiful there, you know, and at home they look all sort of dried up and lonely. But I just always have the beach glass and I'll just look and look. And the library's the same way. You don't know what you'll find, but you'll always find something.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Nice.
Love that.
So that's for
Thank
librarians
you.
out there.
That's
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't even know that. I have to tell you, I'm a former school librarian too. So that was perfect
I didn't know
timing.
that.
Thank you. Yeah. Here in my
Wow.
little hometown of New Jersey. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. And I think I'll do that during my lip block today. I'll remind everybody to thank a
Oh,
librarian.
yeah.
They're
Very
doing so much
important.
right now.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, very important.
Yes. So I'm going to move on to some of the questions that came my way. I have 2 questions from kids and 1 question from teachers. Okay. So the first question that comes from a child is, when did you know you wanted to be a poet? Like, about how old were you? Can you describe the moment?
Yeah, who goes first? Amy?
You
Go
always
ahead,
go first.
Rebecca.
Me again. Okay. I know specifically that I was probably around 11. I used to write poems for my friends, and I wrote poems on, back then my dad had his shirts cleaned and they always came with a white cardboard inside the shirt as it was folded, and he would always save the card, you know, give me the cardboard. So I would always write my poems on those, and then I would staple them on the side and make them like into like a little book. And so that's where I started writing my poems. And then in high school, I wrote poetry all the time. And when I was 11, it was more like about family and friends. And it could even be, even at 11, like kind of deep questions about life, you know. Then high school, it was during the Vietnam War, so I wrote a lot of poems about that. And then I had a wonderful teacher in high school named Mrs. Doris Bradford, and she really got me to really appreciate and love poetry even more. And then in college, I wrote a lot of love poems, and I took a lot of songwriting classes and that kind of thing. And so that's kind of how I started, I guess.
Do you play an instrument? Did you sing your poems?
Oh, no, I used to sing. I actually never played well, I mean, I did, you know, like when you were supposed to in school, like I played the viola, but I never learned well, but I sang. I was in a group called the Beach Bums in junior high. And so we did like little gigs, like our dads would get us little gigs down at, you know, the when they would get together and they would learn the toasting.
Oh, Toastmasters.
Yeah, there you go. Stuff like that. And so then we would, and it was Sherry played guitar, I sang, and somebody else played the drums. And so, yeah, I sang.
Oh my gosh, I could see you with the guitar in your poems and singing your poems.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to this question. I liked to write a lot when I was little, and I always really liked to make things. So you can probably kind of see behind me this weird gritty thing. That's all these little erasers that I carve. I just really like to make all kinds of things. And so, and I had a little diary that I wrote in. My mom helped me write in when I was tiny. And then I remember we had to write poems in 6th grade. I do remember that because I remember them all hanging in the hallway. And I wrote about moms, about mothers, it was called. And so that I remember because he hung it up and all of them were hung up and we all felt really like poets. He would take us out in the woods and teach us the birds. We had a garden. He was just an incredible teacher, Mr. Fran. And then I just always liked reading and writing, right? So through the years, I had different teachers. I took a great poetry class in college and then in grad school. And so I wrote poetry throughout, but I don't know that I ever really felt like I'm a poet. I just liked to write in my journals all different kinds of little things, and sometimes they had short lines. But then at some point, I think I think I got really comfortable with realizing that the things that I like to write about just happen to be the same things that children are interested in. I don't feel like, I don't think, I would imagine it's the same for you, Rebecca, that you're not trying to write a poem for children. It's just that's the
Right.
poetry you write. And
Right.
it so happens that it resonates with children. And that's how I feel. Not that I'm trying to write to this is just what I write. So
Right. Or it's
that's
what
very
we're,
comfortable. Like I
right.
found that my inner 8-year-old matches somebody
That's
likes to
right.
read that, and there we go. So
Yes.
that
It's
I
right.
think
It's
at
like
that
we
point
have,
it became easier to write more because I felt like I wasn't trying to write a certain kind of thing for a certain kind of anybody.
I
Yeah.
think when you do that, it's stilted and it
Yeah.
doesn't have the passion. I think we have, probably being a poet, we probably have the curiosity and wonder of a child, you know, and those, it's the kinds of things that make me happy, that make children, it's not like they go around going, oh, it makes me happy, but let's face it, they love an umbrella when it twirls in the rain and it's different colors. I love that. I want to write about
Yes.
that, you know.
Yes.
I
Yes.
want to write about moons and mice and stars and bumblebees and, you know,
And that,
all that.
Rebecca, is one thing I have always loved about your poem so much. When you said before, like the specific something, not just playing outside, but your poems and your way of speaking and being is so full of like layered richness of nouns and places and feelings that
Thank
are
you.
so human for all of us, and they aren't inaccessible, you know, they come back to really the best of what humanity is, I think.
Yes.
And
Well,
that
gosh, thank you.
matters to a child and to an adult. And I think that's why I have always found your poems to be truly timeless throughout time, but also no matter how old you are, like that the poem gives us something.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good to know, and I appreciate that. That's wonderful. It's wonderful to feel that. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Amy. And I'm just admiring this conversation and just feeling so lucky to be part of it. I'm going to jump to the teacher question right now. The teacher question is, if you had to pick one idea for how to support students' poetry writing, what would it be?
I know what Amy's is, I bet. I'm going to let her go first.
Okay.
I think it would be, and now I feel like I have to say whatever you're thinking.
Oh, no, you don't.
Whatever I say, Rebecca, you can say, I was thinking that.
Okay, no, I won't. I'll tell you the
think
truth.
that a couple things, but I only can say one. So I would say the one thing would be to provide ample time for children to read many poems and to find the ones that they love.
And that is very perfect, but that's not what I was thinking. But that is absolutely perfect. And because I'm not going to lie and go, oh, that's exactly what I was thinking. But that is very, very true. Find the ones that they love, you know, go through all kinds of poems. And that's why I love it when teachers lay out anthologies all over the place and say, you know, there's no thing that you have to do except rummage through those pages and find a poem that you just love, or that it makes you happy just to read it. You don't even know why, you know, and that's so very true. And they can only do that the more that they're enabled to just freely read without having to say, you know, where's the metaphor in that? And, you know, where's the alliteration or all of that? And that there's a place for that, you know, but boy, just to find the poems you love. And
then you want to write them because you think, oh my gosh, that poem matched exactly how I felt when my cat ran away, and that person understood me even though I didn't know that person, and maybe I could write something that would connect with another, you know, you then light a fire through that reading.
That's right. And it gives them obviously a model to go by, you know. It's like, oh, I love that poem, and you know, like a pet, you know, like I love that poem and I have a pet and I wanted to write about it, but I wasn't sure what. So I'll kind of, you know, look at that and, you know, do that. And oh, there's so many things, but, you know, I try to tell them that and I'm sure you do too, I tell students all the time that, you know, if for instance, you have felt something like you've lost a grandparent, you know, and it makes you sad, it's like, find a poem, and they're out there, they're all over the place. Find a poem where somebody else lost a grandparent too, and they say how they felt, and chances are you're going to feel some of those similar things, and the details are going to be different, as they should be, but you know, it's that sharing of either joy or grief or happiness or anger or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we connect through emotion, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I think, especially important in the time that we're living in too, because the connections that we aren't able to make face to face, where we can really feel from each other as we're together. But poems build that bridge, right?
Yeah.
And they help us,
Right.
they help us feel connected, even when we're not around the people we're used to being around. So thank you for sharing.
That's very true. And here I go again. You know, it's funny, bridges, when you said a bridge, bridges always kind of show up when I'm writing poems for some reason. Maybe not even poems that I've published that much, but when I'm writing, they show up in my picture books. I love the idea of a bridge, not only how it connects things, but the beauty of them and the work that it took and the light sometimes that you can see. And sometimes when you look up, it looks like almost the stars are intermingled with the bridge. I don't know. Bridges are one of my things. I need to
I
write.
love knowing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I was thinking you might have said something about, because I know notebooks are so important to you in journaling, and I love that because they are to me too. And so I was like, okay, I know Amy's going to talk about notebooking and journaling. So
That would have been number 2.
Yes. I know it's
And
hard
turn
to
your screens
choose.
off.
Yeah. Yeah. And turn your screens off, she said.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was going to say too that, and it's kind of the same thing. I mean, sure, you do it in journals, and I have a few I was going to, you know, throw up just to look real quick, but it's, for me, I guess I would suggest all kinds of wordplay, you know, playing with words is kind of like a puzzle, and you kind of put the words together, take the words apart, you know, squish them together, mix and match them, have fun with them. Yeah. But of course, it's supposed to mean something when you're done. I mean, you can't just throw down a bunch of words you love and say it's a poem, or else I'd have lots of, I mean, these are just, you know, I mean, that's just like a couple of them. But I mean, I write my favorite words and have fun with them. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. We've been doing that together this week too. We've been part of the things that we've been doing have been kind of co-creating poems and seeing where they bring us, and then students head off to write. So it's really nice to see the starts of your poems as well. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so we're going to play something right now. I have a photograph that I'd like to show you. And what we're going to do is we're just going to look at the photograph, and all 3 of us are going to jot down words that come to mind.
Okay. And are all your people watching this going to have to do that too?
Yes, absolutely. They sure are. Thank you, Amy. So as you're watching this, please take a moment and grab a piece of paper. And when I show the photograph to you, I'm going to ask you to just write down words that come to mind. And then let's talk about how, if you could share kind of what you do once you have a few words and how you turn that into a poem. So the cool part of this is you haven't seen the photo that I've chosen.
No. And I would like to have everyone know too that this is totally as it should be, off the cuff. Yeah. It's just brainstorming. There's no right or wrong. It's just kind of like what comes to you. Put it down and then see if it goes somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Open the door.
Okay. Yeah. Well, here's the doorway. Ready?
Now hold it steady for a moment. Okay.
Get a good look.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you share some of the words that came to mind?
Well, for me, it was real quick because I, you know, didn't have much time. I think I only have like 5. I just put carry you, pouch, love, protection, ears. That's all I have. That's just it's just what I saw. And it's just, okay, what am I going to do with that? Okay.
That was such a cute picture.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I had jotted down, just probably can't see too well, but some phrases. And I think when I saw the baby, I wrote Mama and Joe. A baby kangaroo is a Joey, right?
Joey.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. So they've been down to eat grass, and then somehow what immediately I thought of was a Joey named Joey. So I just was imagining that you could have a baby kangaroo that's a Joey named Joey, and so I was just sort of playing around with that a little bit.
And you could, that would be Joey. Yeah, that's right.
And baby animal names are so interesting,
aren't they? Yes,
aren't they? I know it.
And fun,
So
absolutely.
cute. I know. Well, for me, and then I'd like to hear what Amy thinks too. But when I first look at a picture, when I do write from a picture, I don't even try to form like really what I'm thinking as far as a story or a poem. I just kind of throw down some words that come to my mind. It's not always just like a detail. I mean, like I didn't even put, I remember the ears had some white in the middle. And so I would probably go back to that, but I just didn't even think of that at the moment. But I probably would go back to that and maybe draw a picture and talk about how that white in the middle is, and then I'd have to think about, what is that? Is that a, I don't know, like a little puzzle of white in the middle of the ear, or what is that? But mostly when I looked at that, I was just thinking how the mother carries the baby in the pouch, and its protection and its love. And so I would probably start a poem, about just how protection is a big part of love. Probably.
There we go.
Probably.
It sounds to me too like part of getting some of those words down and then talking them through and thinking them through. So the thinking part, but also the talking it through, just like you did, brought you to a bigger idea that you're sharing.
That's right. Talk it through with,
And I think too, hearing you, Rebecca, and thinking about how I do this. And I think doing exercises like this, where you just take something you're not that's why rolling the dice has been interesting. Like you just take anything and see, what can I get out of this? And I do think that the writing part, writing, however old you are, whatever you write, part of the work is, understanding the craft and all that technique and metaphor and whatever, not being a cliche person or whatever. That's part of it. But I think a really big part of it that maybe sometimes we don't share with children enough is the idea that it's important as a writer to learn to trust that the ideas that come to you at any given time, you can let them in, and you don't have to feel like that isn't a good one, so it can't come in, and that is a good one. So you just take them all in.
That's right.
And then once they're on the page, what happens is the one that you think maybe wasn't going to be the one you would want ends up being the most wonderful bit of all. And sometimes I think we kind of lock ourselves down too quickly. And so having this sort of, when people talk about writing first, just taking everything and then getting all, particular with the puzzle of it. But that first part is maybe even more important than the second part, because you can
Absolutely.
write something very well crafted that doesn't take a reader to a new place. And
Or
so that
feel
idea part,
something, yeah, or feel something really deep or
yeah,
personal, or that's right.
that
And
exploration part is a gift to us,
it's,
even if we don't ever share the writing with anybody.
that's right. That is right. And, that's the thing. I don't want, when anybody writes a poem, especially children, don't want them to second guess, oh, is that the right word? Is that the word that
Right.
maybe the teacher wants to see? Or
Mhm.
is that as good of a word as he or her are going to put down? Oh man, wipe that all away and just fill, like we only had a couple seconds, but if you can just fill the page with
Yeah.
every single thing, like maybe even the word doesn't make sense to anybody else. Maybe, like, let's say if I would have put a word there like key, somebody said there's no key in that picture. Well, no, but something made me think of key, and who knows, maybe they're on their way home, and maybe if I'm going to, use my imagination, the key is in the pouch to their door when they get home. I mean,
Mhm.
who knows,
Right.
Right,
or
but that's the magic part, is
right,
Yes.
the not knowing.
the not knowing
Exactly.
and the playing. Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
and like you're saying, to leaving the door open to the
Yes,
magic and to the play,
right,
um,
right.
especially, we can almost feel safer doing that at home when we're
Yes,
alone as students, right? Like I was reading about you, Amy, pretending that your closet was an elevator, so you had like your space for being free thinking in that way. And I think we can replicate similar space in classrooms. So
Yeah,
I
because
think,
if you had told us, Patty, that we had to have two metaphors and an example of alliteration in the poem,
yeah,
I would have just shut down. There would have been nothing.
yeah.
yeah,
And a lot of
yes,
times that just comes naturally, like children are amazed after they write a poem when we don't even talk about that. And then we go through and say, I bet you anything we can circle. Bet you you've got a simile or a metaphor in there, or something else. Let's look at what else you've got that you didn't even know,
yeah,
because I think sometimes if you try too hard, it does take the magic out of it.
yes,
And
yes,
so I think it's just being free and just enjoying, just
yeah.
for the joy of it.
Absolutely. And poems are totally magical in so many ways. And I keep discovering new parts of their magic. And so I'm wondering if we can start to wrap a little bit here. Before I send you off with some parting words, I'm wondering if you could send us off with a poem that you chose to read to us. Kind of left that one open. Rebecca, would you mind starting?
Oh, okay. All right. I decided to read a poem uh, from a Lee Bennett Hopkins anthology called School People.
Yay.
And I wrote a poem called School Story. And the reason I decided to read this is because school's going to hopefully welcome children and teachers back in the fall. I understand, and I know I have grandchildren, and I have a lot of friends that are teachers, and it's sad, that this year the last has been missed out on. But there's more to come. There's always more to come. There's always a new day. There's always a new morning. There's always a new school year. Hopefully it will be this fall. And if not, it will be, at some month and day in time, a new school experience will begin. School story. I am waiting. Come on in. Welcome to this house of brick. Enter whispers, whistles, signs, footsteps, fossils, notebook lines. Rooms hold calendars, chairs, and nooks, murals, maps, library books. Feet scamper, shuffle, dash drum. Listen to my hallway hum. I am waiting. Come on in. Hear a chorus of rings and knocks, a clatter of ladders, letters, rocks, the swishing of brooms, the clicking of locks. In my house are all these parts, markers, makers, sealing art, a building full of soul and heart. Clocks tick and talk, talk and tick. in and around this house of brick, I am waiting. Come on in.
Oh, it's a poem of hope right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a poem to read, but before I do, I just do want to say to children and teachers who are watching this, when you go to the library or your own collection and pull out a book, an anthology by Lee Bennett Hopkins, who we lost this year and who was Rebecca's mentor and also mine, he has so many anthologies, and when you look at them, you will notice that many, many, many begin and end with poems by Rebecca. So when you pull your Lee Bennett Hopkins books off the shelf, notice that.
And many have Amy's poems in them also.
So I would like to read a poem from Right, 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 which came out last month.
Beautiful,
And
beautiful book, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. It's one toward the end. And you know, I was going to read the pen, but I changed my mind based on something you said, Rebecca, when you said if there was a key in the pouch of the kangaroo. As I just opened to this, I happened to see the last page, and I don't know, but I feel like oftentimes things
happen.
I don't want to get all things happen for a reason on you, but there is a strange, like I'm finding as I roll the dice every day and writing poems from them, they match other days in ways that I could not have planned, and nor could I have planned to read this based on something you said. So this is the last poem, not the back, but the last, and it's called Truth. And one of the things, this book is a word song book, and I wanted to show you the art because Ryan O'Rourke, what he does,
I love his work.
Darkness and light in a way that I adore.
And it's so cozy. It just invites you.
Yeah, so mysterious almost.
I don't know if you can tell, but I have a poster of his.
Oh, wow.
Right back there.
Yeah. He's incredible.
I know.
Yes.
So, this is truth. If this oak tree had a door, it would be red with an acorn window and a brass door knocker shaped like a squirrel. If a river had a door, it would be turquoise with a rounded top and silver hinges etched with small fish. If our moon had a door, it would be sage green with a star window and an old opal knob that glowed in twilight. Everything has a door. We write our way in. We do. Each word is a key. It is.
Oh my gosh, each word is a key.
So that was weird.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Absolutely.
What a connection there. What a connection.
Oh
That's
my
a beautiful,
gosh.
beautiful poem. Beautiful poem.
Wow. Well, I'm just going to be smiling all day for the rest of the day. And every time I think back on this, it's going to put a smile on my face. This was a beautiful conversation to be a part of and to witness. And it's just incredible what you all bring to us. I know I started with that, but I think ending with that same sentiment, that everyone in listening to you talk, and especially talk with each other, we realize just what gifts you are to us, and we thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Patty, because it was just such a gift to me to get to be with you and to be with my friend Rebecca too, for us to have this time together. It felt like a little oasis.
Kind of like we needed it. And I just want to say too, Patty, that if we didn't have teachers and readers, we would still be writing, but the magic comes from when someone hears those words and feels those words, and it wouldn't be the same if we didn't have the listeners and the readers.
Yes, for sure. And I just wanted to say one more thing and just share something. And I have to share a photo of the cover because I lent my copy to somebody, but this is one of the greatest supports for teachers is Poems Are Teachers by Amy. And it's about how studying poetry strengthens writing in all genre. So I just wanted to share that.
I love Rebecca's poem in that book.
Oh, yeah, the circular.
All those lights, yeah.
Cabin with lights.
1,000 lights, yeah.
But it's very what's the word? It gives teachers, such a clear. It's not simple. It's clear. There's clarity. It's like, okay, I can see how to do this. It's a clear example, and so I think that's what's wonderful about that. And I know Lee liked that book a lot.
Definitely.
Liked your book a lot.
Yes. Oh, well, I'm going to keep sharing all of the things that I have been sharing with our students and teachers and parents this week. I've certainly shared both of your beautiful websites. I know, Rebecca, I was on there just browsing and reading and browsing and clicking and buying and and doing more and more to get more of your work in my hands. And both of you are so generous with all that you have. Like, I know that Amy and her poems and her sharing our notebooks and her just incredible resources that are out there are all just such a part of everything that we can use. And I will keep sharing in that way. I will just continue to take the megaphone and keep saying, Rebecca Kai Dotlich and Amy Ludwig Vanderwater, you are the rock stars in this world of writing, and we're so grateful.
Thank you for having us so much, Patty.
Thank you so much.
Right,
it was great to see you, Amy.
So good to see you both. Happy National Poetry Month, everybody. It's 1 week left.
There you go.
And keep it all year.
That's right. All right.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. One more thing I meant to mention. Poetry Fridays.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's just a thing. Anybody who likes poetry on Fridays, lots of teachers and people who like poetry share poetry at their blog. So if you Google Poetry Friday, you'll find every Friday there's a place you can go with all kinds of links of poems, poem books, poem ideas, all kinds of things. And everybody is always welcome.
See, Amy's good at that kind of thing. I'm not, I don't join in very much. I'm more of a recluse, I guess you'd say. But Amy's very good about all that. So
that's a real friendly community. A lot teachers, some people who are not teachers and just really like poetry. So it's everybody who wants to join. Yeah,
that's right. Yep.
So go buy some stale Peeps and send them to Rebecca.
Or candy corn in the fall. Oh, wait, Amy, what's your favorite candy?
Licorice.
Wait, show
it was like right there.
Show it again.
I had it right here.
Twizzlers. You're kidding.
Well, I've got too many favorites, so I had to pick one.
Right. Well, the funny thing is, my third favorite is black licorice, not the red, not the cherry.
Wow.
I
like
love
black too.
Black licorice.
Wait, candy corn's number 2, right?
Does it have to be stale?
Candy corn and stale Peeps. Nope.
Okay.
Candy corn and stale Peeps are kind of like neck and neck. And then it's black licorice. But it's funny that you got the red Twizzlers, because I thought, oh yeah, I love black licorice so much. In fact,
right there. Oh,
I love it.
Nice.
Because the organic doesn't have, there's a ingredient that's not so good for you in the really good black licorice. It's some word I can't even pronounce. It's like GHLZZUR. Anyway, this is yum, and it's natural, and it doesn't have that. So I like
a candy party.
Yeah, we need a candy party.
Yeah.
How about you? What's your favorite? Amy and I told ours.
Oh, I think my favorite would be Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh, that's
you know what? Not even the Reese's ones. The ones you can get at Trader Joe's now. Trader Joe's has that like a dark chocolate, but also a milk chocolate peanut butter cup. That the only time I buy them, because that they'll be gone, is I only buy them when I go away with my girlfriends once a year. We have our girls' weekend. We get our peanut butter cups from Trader Joe's, and they have them in mini size, and they have them in like the size of like the tip of this pen.
Oh, really? Little teeny. Oh, hey, that's a good. I
have ice cream.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I'm not a big chocolate lover. That's one thing I've just never liked that much is chocolate. But I love peanut butter. And then as you were saying that, I remember, daggone, when you said a writer's, I used to go to a writer's retreat with friends, and I made sure to always bring Good and Plenty. That's another favorite.
I love Good and Plenty.
You do too?
Yeah, I have a 5-pound bag of Good and Plenty in the other room, Rebecca.
I
bought it for $5.
I love it.
Quarantine candy.
Oh, but again, it's black licorice, you know?
That's right.
but I usually get it when I go to the airport. They usually have those, you know, the big bins, and you can get some. So yeah.
Mm.
Okay, we could talk candy
Yeah,
and
we could. That's the
Yes,
next
we
one.
could. Oh,
Oh,
well,
thank you again.
both. Thank you so much. I
Thanks
really
again.
appreciate
Take
it.
care,
All
everybody.
right, take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.